Greetings, beautiful people out there in virtual reality. I am Oba Omi, and this is Oba Omi Says. Thank you so much for coming and listening to my podcast today, and we're going to go ahead and get right into the housekeeping. So first and foremost, like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell for post notifications so that you can be abreast to everything that's going on here at Oba Omi Says. Secondly, I would like for everyone to schedule their yearly reading if you're interested. I do a Mary D. Logan reading to issue once a year for most people, or if you come back for another reading, but I read each quarter of the year and the energies for all the quarters so you can know how to plan around your quarter if you're into spiritual advisement. And last but not least, if you are too busy to watch this whole entire podcast, you can very easily go down into the description, and I have the chapters separated out for you for each portion of the segments that I do here and each article that I do here, so you can actually check out the things that you're the most interested in. So go ahead, if you can't watch the whole thing, go ahead and look in the descriptions, go down to the chapters and pick and choose what you would like to see. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and get started with our day today on Oba Omi Says. Alright, we're going to kick off the show with our pop culture and entertainment news, you guys. It's been a very interesting week. These weeks are getting more and more interesting by the day with all these things going on with pop culture and entertainment news, you guys. So let's go ahead and start off with, first up, we got our celebrity news. So let's go ahead and hit it, guys, and see what's going on in celebrity news. So, did ABC miss a learning opportunity by suspending Whoopi Goldberg? ABC's decision to suspend Whoopi Goldberg from The View for 2 weeks for her remarks about the Holocaust has opened the network up to criticism that its response derailed a teachable moment for the nation about a sensitive topic often misunderstood and seldom discussed on air. Goldberg set off a cancel culture media circus Monday when she said on the show that the Nazis' genocide of 6 million Jews during World War II wasn't about race, but rather man's inhumanity to man, and the conflict was between two white groups of people. The Nazis were white supremacists who wanted to eradicate what they considered an inferior race. Her suspension came after she apologized that night on Twitter and the next day on the show, which featured the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League at her invitation. The network's action spurred strong emotions and split allegiances about whether the politically liberal actors should be canceled or counseled. So, Nick Cannon, I think, termed that term, instead of having cancel culture, let's have counsel culture. So, you guys, I don't know what my opinion is on this. I don't want to speak because people get real sensitive despite all the stuff that's happened to black people, and despite what's been going on in melanated communities and black and brown, as they'll say on the news. The Jewish topics are so sensitive, it's hard to even say anything because I'm just nervous that I might get canceled. So I don't even want to say anything about it. You know what I mean? But, but to be honest, what I will say is that I do stand on the side where I think it was a bit much. I think they could have handled it in a different way. And I think it could have been a teachable moment, but ABC chose not to do that. So, they chose to do what they did. And this isn't the first time Whoopi has had a controversy. I think she may have been suspended before, but she's definitely made some very risque comments on The View. She's been on there for about 15 years. So, in all that time, she said a lot of things on The View. So, I do agree with her that it is about man's inhumanity to man, but I don't disagree that Nazis did consider Jews an inferior race. So, I think she made a statement like, it was about both things or whatever. So, I can agree to that as well. So, so that's about as much as I can say. But I'm interested to know what you guys think about this comment that Whoopi Goldberg made. So, I want you guys to tell me what you think about it. Do you think ABC did too much? Do you think they're right on the money? What would you have done if you was in this situation? Let me know about that in the comments. Moving right on along, Olivia Rodrigo named Woman of the Year by Billboard. Singer-songwriter Olivia Rodrigo only needed one album to earn her title of the Billboard's 2022's Woman of the Year, landing her in the same company as Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga. The former teen actor turned pop star will be honored as the 2022 Woman of the Year at the Billboard Woman in Music Award on March the 2nd. Previous honorees also include Cardi B, Billie Eilish, and Ariana Grande. Rodrigo became 2021's biggest breakout star with her confessional debut album, breaking chart records and racking up awards and nominations. Rodrigo's exploration of heartache, jealousy, and insecurity on Sour broke streaming records and led to all 11 tracks landing in the top 30 of the Billboard Hot 100 chart, making her the first female artist to achieve the feat. So yes, congratulations to Olivia Rodrigo. Now, I have heard some people, they said that they think that's a bit much because some people don't really like her music, but I guess the numbers allegedly don't lie, but there is a thing called payola and there are streaming farms and all these things that they have now, so who knows if all this was legitimate. So, I guess God only knows. But according to what they say, she was very popular, and it's not like she's not known. And some people thought, why would you give her Woman of the Year in February or March? So people were confused because it's just so early in the year. But at the same time, I guess whatever time of the year the Billboard awards that, I guess it's based off the artist, their track record. So she has done a lot in the industry. Even though she did debut, she was a child actress. And she has been in the entertainment industry. And even though she did just debut her first album last year, she did break a lot of records with her music. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm not a fan of hers. And I've never heard not one of her songs. If I did, I didn't know it was her. And she's not really memorable to me. She's not, she just seems like another... I don't know, I don't want to speak against her, but she just seems like another, Caucasian artist with that style of pop music. So just by her look, I don't listen to her music, so I don't know. You guys got to tell me, does Olivia Rodrigo deserve to be named Woman of the Year based off of all these things that we know about her? Do you stand in agreement with it? Let me know what you guys think about Olivia Rodrigo being named Woman of the Year by Billboard in the comments. Moving right on along to our next topic. Spike Lee to direct Colin Kaepernick docu-series for ESPN. Spike Lee will direct a multi-part documentary for ESPN on Colin Kaepernick that features extensive interviews with the former San Francisco 49ers quarterback and access to his personal archive. ESPN Films announced Tuesday that Lee would weave never-before-seen footage from Kaepernick's archive to provide a full first-person account of his journey. Kaepernick last played pro football in 2016, the same year he started kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial injustice. Although the NFL has encouraged teams to look at Kaepernick, he has yet to receive another pro contract. No title or release date for the docu-series was announced. Lee directed the 2009 film Kobe Doing Work on Lakers great Kobe Bryant. That film examined Bryant's work ethic and basketball prowess through a single Lakers game against the San Antonio Spurs. So, you guys, I guess, I know a lot of people have issues with Colin Kaepernick. Some people do not consider him black. I don't know if his mother's white or if his father's white. I'm not sure, but one of his parents is black. But with a lot of multiracial people like Drake and Doja Cat, people don't consider them black because they have one white parent. And it's some that they do consider black. Like, nobody ever questions the Murray twins, even though Tia and Tamara, even though their father is white. But some black people hold the belief that if your mother is white, that means you're white, even if your father was black. They say if you came out of a white woman, you're white. So that's how some people feel. So this is just an interesting, thing. I know Colin Kaepernick has been making different, noise about different things. And I don't know if he's just trying to keep a career or what he's trying to do. But, it's good that in some ways that he's shining a light on racial injustice. People do those types of things for all kinds of reasons. They do it for money or their own personal gain, if you will. But I'm not sure. I can't question his motive or anybody else's motive. But it's good to see Spike Lee's getting another movie under his credited belt. And it's good to see that he's still working in the film production industry. So that's a good thing. So I'm probably not going to watch this. I pretty much know I'm not going to watch it. But you guys can tell me how it was. I know it was that other Colin Kaepernick thing that came out and everybody was, going crazy about that and had a million comments about that. So, I guess we'll be expecting that same kind of situation once this comes out too. So you guys let me know what you think about the Colin Kaepernick docu-series that ESPN is producing with Spike Lee in the comments. All right, next topic we have: a Taylor Swift course has launched at NYU's Clive Davis Institute. New York University's Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music is offering its first ever course on Taylor Swift. Class is in session for Swifties. New York University's Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music is offering its first ever course on Taylor Swift. The class is being taught by Rolling Stone staff writer Brittany Spanos, who will run through March 9, according to Variety. Taught by Rolling Stone staff writer Brittany Spanos, the class will delve into Swift's journey as a creative music entrepreneur, the legacy of the pop and country songwriters that have influenced the star, how discourses of youth and girlhood are exploited in the media and music industry, and politics of race and contemporary popular music, a greater sophistication in the students. Artistic appreciation, critical thinking, research, and writing skills according to the course objectives published by Variety. Lord Jesus. Now, I have 2 music degrees, and I'm sure this is an elective. I have a bachelor's and a master's in music, and I cannot imagine picking up an elective for Taylor Swift. I don't care how popular she is. Not interested. Unless it was maybe if it was going to be an easy A, but then again, still not interested. Now, this is not to take anything away from Taylor Swift. She is awesome in her own right. She has broken records. She has won Grammys. She's written so much music. Even though some people say she, plagiarized her music. Some people say that. But she had ghostwriters. But, there's a lot of information. But, this is delving into some other aspects of the music industry too. So maybe it will be interesting. But for me, I'm not interested in taking a course on Taylor Swift. I'm good. I can just go to YouTube and learn about her and all these other aspects if they wanted me to, so I'm good. And I'm not saying that her career is not worth studying, because she definitely had a level of formula to get into the industry and be successful. So for those that study it, kudos to them for, studying it. But personally, as a recipient and holder of 2 music degrees, it just seems like another elective that people will just take to get an easy A. So that's my personal opinion on it, and I wouldn't take it. But would you guys take a course on Taylor Swift? Is she interesting to you in that regard? Would you actually risk your college GPA on taking a course on Taylor Swift? I think it would be interesting. I wonder what other artists they'll give courses on. That's just interesting. So you guys let me know if you would take a Taylor Swift course in college, and let me know how you feel about the whole endeavor in the comments. Let me know. All right, moving on to our next topic. 4 charged after overdose, death of actor Michael K. Williams. 4 men face charges that they were members of the drug distribution crew that supplied a deadly mix of narcotics to Michael K. Williams, the renowned actor from The Wire, who overdosed just hours after buying fentanyl-laced heroin in a deal recorded on security camera video. The man seen on camera handing Williams the drugs on a Brooklyn sidewalk, Irvin Cartagena, was charged with directly causing the actor's death, authorities said. Williams' death was investigated by the New York City Police Department, but the charges were brought by federal prosecutors in Manhattan, who revealed that the suspects had been under surveillance even before the actor's fatal overdose last September. Wow. So, okay, let me say this about this situation. When did fentanyl become such a big thing? Like, I knew people was doing heroin, but I don't do drugs, so I don't know when these things became popular. The only thing I knew that was kind of overtaking a lot of communities, especially, black and brown, as they would say in the media communities, is meth. That's a big thing that a lot of people do. And then in a lot of sub-communities, it's kind of quietly an epidemic in the gay community, I would say. Meth and other narcotics. But when did fentanyl become a thing? And I think Prince also died from a fentanyl overdose. I guess it's been going on for a long time. Look, I guess I'm just ignorant to the drug life. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know, but this is just interesting. And, I know a lot of people feel bad about Michael K. Williams dying. They send their condolences out to him and his family and wish his spirit, just resolve in this matter. But I'm just, I don't follow I never really followed Michael K. Williams before the show that he did on HBO with Journey Smollett. That side, the kind of black sci-fi show. I forget the name of it. It's gonna come to me probably later when I'm not doing it, but you guys know what show I'm talking about. It was like an action-packed sci-fi show that got canceled that was on one of those movie channels like Cinemax or HBO. But I'm just wondering how all these people get into drugs like that. I'm just interested to know his story of how he got into narcotics and then buying things laced with fentanyl. So that's just interesting to me. So you guys, y'all got to educate me a little bit more about this situation. But if looks like they definitely was trying to set up somebody for a drug bust, so they got somebody, so I guess it worked for them. So it is what it is. So you guys, let me know what you know or think about this in the comments. And for the last topic in our celebrity news, Janet Jackson doc, despite criticism, a hit for Lifetime. Janet Jackson's 4-part documentary on Lifetime was the network's most watched nonfiction show since Surviving R. Kelly 3 years ago, and viewership is continuing to grow. The documentary series debuted Friday and Saturday night on Lifetime and was a simulcast on the A&E network, with the musician and her manager brother Randy listed as executive producers. The series was an intriguing look at the reclusive singer, yet also received criticisms for issues skirted or left out entirely. The first part on Friday was seen by 2.8 million people on live and another 1.2 million people in the next few days, either digitally or on demand. The Nielsen Company said, Part 2 had a similar viewership of 4.3 million. Part 3 had 3.7 million, and the final part had 3.8 million. Those numbers are expected to grow with delayed viewing over the next few weeks. So yeah, you guys, I definitely heard that, that baby, that, Inside Edition had released something about the alleged baby that she had with the DeBarge sibling. People are saying she really did have a child, and she's denying that rumor, I think, still in the documentary. But a grown woman is coming forth saying that she's DNA tested to her and, to him, I think, to the DeBarge, and it's came out that is a DeBarge child, but they can't get in contact with Janet to do the DNA test with her. So this is interesting, you guys. I have not watched the Janet Jackson doc, but I have seen a lot more videos of her floating around on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, things like that. But that is something I would be interested in watching. I definitely was a fan of Janet Jackson when she was definitely in her prime and when she had a lot of hits. So something I feel like I would check out. But what do you guys think? Is there some parts that you feel like they did not address or they left out in the documentary, you guys? Anything you thought you would have heard that you didn't hear, I'm interested to know. So you guys let me know what you think about all this in the comments. All right, guys, moving right on along to our straight from the gram and Twitter section. So first up, we got Arie. She got a lot to say. She has came out and did a story and posted it on her social media, and it's gotten picked up by a lot of outlets. And she's basically talking about the reasons why she's leaving Spotify. So just a side note, because I'm going to bring this back up in the from the headline section on the spiritual perspectives and kind of get more into my opinion. But I just want to let people know that a lot of artists are planning on leaving Spotify, and it is due to the Joe Rogan situation. But a lot of people are leaving Spotify due to the Joe Rogan situation surrounding the pandemic, because they're claiming that he's giving misinformation over Spotify, and he's basically I think he is the highest paid Spotify podcaster. So, that's what's going on. So a lot of artists, especially older artists, they're taking their music and leaving the platform. However, and Arie mentioned this, and she said kudos to those that are doing that for that reason, but that's not the reason why she's leaving the platform. So, and she clarified a lot of things as to why she's leaving the platform. And it has a lot to do with the racist remarks that Joe Rogan says. And some of the remarks are overtly racist, but also the terminology that he uses. Like, he actually says the N-word in regular conversation on his podcast. And Joe Rogan is a Caucasian man, and he brings on a lot of guests that do the same thing. And it's not like, oh, he said it once or twice. He regularly says it, and he says it often and over and over and over again. And she actually posted clips of him saying it multiple times. And, her situation, I'll get more into it into more of my opinion of it in the next section when I talk about it from the headlines, because her situation has received a level of criticism, or her opinion has received a level of criticism, but I personally stand in agreement, and I want to talk about that more in our spiritual perspective section when we get to the headlines. So that's first up on From the Gram and Twitter. So coming on up next, we got Cardi B celebrating her 1-year anniversary of Up. In the Twitter universe, she said, 1 year of Up. I'm so proud. Had the nation dancing from dope celebs at weddings and restaurants at pep rallies. No gimmicks. Just the country having fun during hard times. Thank you for making it number one. Well, she says, thanks for making it number one. See y'all soon. Well, she says see y'all soon, so maybe Cardi B got something else dropping, you guys. What's my opinion on this? I mean, I feel like she just wanted to say something because Nicki Minaj dropped her music, which I'm sure most people know that, and I'll get into that in the new music releases in a second. But I guess she wanted to put something out there. So in the comments, a lot of, I guess, Barb's and Cardi gang was going back and forth over the relevance of the song and the gimmicks and all types of things. So that was just another social media brawl between the Barb's and Cardi gang. And so that was interesting. But it kind of seems like she was doing something to kind of deflect Nicki Minaj's shine, because a lot of people have been talking about her in the past week since she just dropped a new song with Lil Baby that I'll talk about more when I get into new music. So, that's pretty much how I feel about that, guys. But congratulations to Cardi B for celebrating 1 year of that old song, Up, that was, I guess, a bop, but, a bop of days of old. I haven't thought or heard that song or thought about it in eons, it feels like to me. But I mean, it was a good song at the time it came out, and it came and went. So congratulations to Cardi B. Moving right on along. So our celebrity, well, he's a commenter and a host and I guess an influencer, you could say, B. Scott. he made the funniest repost to me. It was funny. So here, as you guys can see what it says. So, somebody posted a picture of this new, I guess, drink, like an iced latte, and it says they cutting up now because the iced lattes are flavored by Hostess snacks. So they have a honey bun, Hostess honey bun, iced latte. They have a Hostess Ding Dongs iced latte and a Hostess Twinkies iced latte. So, somebody had posted it and said they cutting up now. Then somebody else said it looked okay until I saw artificially flavored. I'm good on it. So somebody else, being a smart aleck, said, what you thought it was coming straight from the honey bun tree? I mean, I do stand in agreement with that comment because it's like, what did you expect? Like, I didn't even have to look at that. Like, Hostess is artificially flavored and artificially, all the ingredients are pretty much artificial. I think everybody knows that. I haven't ate any of those snacks that come from that aisle in Walmart and the grocery stores in maybe over a decade. So, yeah, I definitely think over a decade because I was more into the pure ingredients way before it was a fad that I knew of, before my generation caught into the fad of looking at ingredients and looking at labels. So, I'm kind of standing in agreement with Brady. What you thought it was coming from the honey bun tree. So, B. Scott thought it was hilarious and laughed at it. So, he kind of reposted it because it was funny to him. So, thanks for sharing the legend of the honey bun tree, B. Scott, because it was funny, just as funny to me as it was to you. So moving right on along to our last from the gram and Twitter. We got Kanye consulting and Tattle-Telling to social media. So Kanye has actually, I'm putting one of his Instagram posts up here which says, I want to bring my kids to my hometown of Chicago to see my basketball team play for 7,000 people, and Kim is stopping that. How is this joint custody? So, and he's actually made a lot of different posts about, Kim allowing North to make a TikTok and all these other types of things. But ultimately, my opinion on it is, why is he consulting and Tattle-Telling to social media? Maybe he's doing it for the aspect of establishing a paper trail to take to court. But all these things seem like just things that you can discuss in, family court. So I'm not sure why he's putting his business out on, social media, other than the fact that I know he generally is okay and likes attention from, the world commenting or knowing what's going on in his personal life. I think it's a little unnecessary to have social media weigh in on these problems, but, you're talking about how is this during custody. Kanye, welcome to the real world. I know you've been living on your cloud, but in family court, that's how things go. They don't care about, in general, and I'm not trying to be rude, but they don't care about the men most of the time unless the mother is on drugs. So they don't care about the men. The family court, the whole situation of child support and all that stuff is generally, and I'm saying this from experience of me knowing people that have gone through these courts, is geared towards the mother in a lot of instances. Now, I've also seen where men have tried to do the same thing, men that were more stable, they tried to come after the mothers. So, they will take a case and try to make money because that's what courts do. Courts don't care about anything but raising money for their municipality. So they'll take anything, keep you coming to court, keep finding ways to assess fines for you and reasons for you to pay them. So they're basically your county or your city or your state fundraiser. That's what the court is. And not to say that these things that the court do cannot be useful, because they can be useful if the court was actually trying to be a fair organization, but the courts are really just corporations. So welcome to it, Kanye. Get over it. I mean, I don't think you have to tattle-tale to social media or try to enlist support from Candace Owens and other people on your causes, because it's really just not that serious. So, just deal with it and take what outcome happens, because you live your life the way you wanted to. You chose to be with Kim. You're choosing to divorce her. So, you decided to enter into that game. And this is what happens. People play those games for decades and all until the children are grown. So, welcome. Welcome to family court. So, guys, let me know what y'all think about all these things I talked about from the gram and from Twitter in the comments. Been a lot of interesting things, whether it's Arie or whether it's Cardi B celebrating her 1-year anniversary, or B. Scott's legend reposting the legend of the honey bun tree, or Kanye Tattle-Telling the social media. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff in the comments. All right, moving right on along, we're going to move on to our new music releases. So first up, we got King Von's Posthumous album is coming, and the first single is Here Now, exclusive. What It Means to Be King is set for a March release. A little over a year after the release of King Von's debut album, Welcome to O Block. His posthumous release is on the way. Only the Family Entertainment, OTF, and Empire announced Friday, February 4th, that the late rapper's upcoming posthumous album, What It Means to Be King, will be out March 4th. Packed with the ferocious bars and gripping narratives that earn Von his fan base, the album features songs that range from introspective to aggressive to romantic, while hinting at some of the creative avenues the Chicago rapper began to take prior to his death at age 26 in November 2020. A follow-up to his debut, What It Means to Be King, will be a bittersweet treat for fans and a moment of closure for those who loved him most. So yeah, you guys, I did, in one of my previous productions, I did a tribute to people that had died in 2020, because it was a production I did in 2020, and I did a tribute to King Von. He was in my tribute of people that had passed away, but honestly, not a big fan of King Von. He's a bit aggressive for my ears. And also, with him being a Leo, I kind of feel like a lot of it was quote-unquote cap, even though he did shoot a lot of people. But, it's also a lot of people that think that he kind of got away with stuff, because a lot of things he did was, on camera, and a lot of weird things. So, people say that he was like, a snitch, and, he had tie-ins to the local police. But I want to talk about this in the from the headline section too, because this is just an interesting thing to me, that they keep choosing to monetize people that die their music. So I'm gonna save that from the headline. So let's move right on along to the rest of our new music releases. So Nicki Minaj, of course, we know, teamed up with Lil Baby this week on Do We Have a Problem. Her first single since Trolls was 6ix9ine and What's the Speed About, featuring Mike Will Made It and Youngboy Never Broke Again. Now, the Trinidadian rapper has given her Barbs a blazing new track that references past elements in her music, while simultaneously showing what the new and improved Minaj is capable of. A possible hint at what fans can expect from the eventual follow-up to the 2018's Queen. Meanwhile, Mitski made her highly anticipated comeback with the release of her sixth studio album, Laurel Hell, bolstered by a new influx of fans during the pandemic who have discovered her through viral TikTok hits such as Nobody and Washing Machine Heart. The singer has come out of a 2-year hiatus to share a new collection of songs. Other news offerings include a pop-punk dream team of Machine Gun Kelly and Willow Smith that is, who have collaborated on the delightful and equal parts angsty emo girl. Jennifer Lopez, Maluma, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and 2 Chainz also made appearances this week for this New Music Friday. That this was an article on Billboard that I'm reading from. So it was just highlighting some of the new music that came out this week. So, of course, you guys, I just want to talk about Nicki Minaj and Lil Baby. Of course, people have really been anticipating this. So, you guys got to tell me what you think about the single in the comments. I've always been a Nicki Minaj fan since I was younger. And I guess you can say in some ways I grew up on her and other women rappers as well. But, I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of Nicki Minaj, her music, but I've always supported her because I've always liked her energy and her character. So I guess you can say I'm a Barb as well. But I haven't always been the biggest fan of her music because I don't like everything she does, but I do have a lot of her songs that I like. And I've always been a big fan of her energy, her attitude, and everything. So, and no shade to anyone else, but I do prefer her over any other woman rapper, personally. So, if I want to listen to a woman rapper, that's who I would listen to. Just not shading anybody else because I love all of them. They're bops from all of them, but and maybe I might collab with a few of them in the future. I never know. So, but Nicki Minaj will forever definitely be stained in my heart and mind for who she is and the queen that she is. Queen of rap, as many call her, and as I consider her as well. So, moving right on along, we're going to talk about the rest of the new music. So, the song that Jennifer Lopez and Maluma released this week is Marry Me. John Legend released a single tomorrow that just came out. Of course, Nicki Minaj and Lil Baby with Do We Have a Problem. As I just said earlier, Machine Gun Kelly featuring Willow Smith, Emo Girl, and she goes by Willow now. The Red Hot Chili Peppers released their single Black Summer. That's another one that came out. And Russ, he released his single Handsomer. So there's some good new music. I haven't listened to all of these singles, but what are you guys listening to when it comes to singles this week? So let me know what you're going to listen to as far as singles this week in the comments. So let's talk about albums. What albums have came out this week? So we got Korn is back, releasing their new album Requiem. Mitski, that I mentioned earlier, with Laurel Hell. 2 Chainz new album just dropped, Dope Don't Sell Itself. Definitely will be checking that out. A-Town legend, Atlanta legend. Definitely will be checking out one of the GOATs, 2 Chainz. Yo Gotti came out with CM10. And Tank, the singer, came out with R&B Money. So a lot of interesting releases. Those are albums that all those are just albums. So we got a lot of interesting releases this week, you guys. And it's a lot more things. I can't wait to share with you all the things that are coming up the next few weeks coming up in the next few months, because it's going to be some interesting music coming out. Hopefully some of this will change the dynamic of the industry and the sound, because, I've said this before in another podcast, but the sounds have just been very stagnant in the industry for me. And I'm ready for a change. So hopefully all of these artists that I've mentioned, they're evolving music, and we're getting some new things to, consider in our oral understanding of life that music brings to our senses. So what are you guys going to be checking out this week? Is it an album or a single that I didn't mention that you want to highlight? Let me know what you guys are thinking about all this in the comments. All right, guys, so now we're here at our chart data information from Billboard. So just let me go ahead and say this too, because I don't think I've ever said it, but in case you guys don't ever realize it, I get the chart information from Billboard. So I usually cover the Hot 100 singles, the Hot 200 for albums, usually the Global 200, and I also do the artist chart. So actually the artist chart, and that's pretty much all I do. I generally don't really talk about too much I don't talk about too much past the top 10, maybe the top 20 sometimes, just to give everybody an idea of what's going on the charts. But in case you haven't realized that yet, that's generally what I discuss when it comes to the chart information. So now that we're going to go ahead, now that you understand that I'm talking about Billboard and you can access this information just by going to their website, you can check out these things for yourself. So let's go ahead and check out Billboard for this week. So Billboard, we have on the Hot 100, number 1, Encanto. We don't talk about Bruno. It's still the top number one. It's been there. This has been his peak position at number one. So Disney is running things right now. It's been on the chart for 5 weeks right now. And, you know, I think it's actually won awards at this point, or has been nominated for awards. So it's number one. So they're doing, we don't talk about Bruno, it's still running things. Adele moved down this week to number 2, Easy on Me. So she moved down, but she's still up there. Adele still, you know, she's still doing her thing. She's still doing their thing. Number 3, we got Heat Wave with Glass Animals. Number 4, Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber still up there with Stay. So they're doing their thing. Number 5, Kodak Black has maintained consistent with Super Gremlin. This is particularly interesting to me because Super Gremlin isn't one of my favorite Kodak Black songs. I've heard it a few times on the radio, but I'm not as into the song. So I'm like, I guess people really like it. So that's interesting. But I'm definitely congratulating Kodak Black for what he's contributing right now. The charts have pretty much kind of stayed the same in a lot of positions. We still got number 6, Ed Sheeran with Shivers. He's still at number 6. We still, Gunna has been honing down at number 7 with Push and Peace. So he had moved down because I think when it came to singles, he had the top number 1 album, but when it came to singles, I think Push and P has always, I think, just mainly been at number 7 or stayed at number 7. We got Gayle still with ABCDEFU, number 8. She's kind of stayed there. And our Jessica Darrow moved up this week with Surface Pressure. And Elton John and Dua Lipa moved down from number 9 to number 10 with the Cold Heart remix. So that's what's going on our Hot 100 singles. Let's take a look at our Hot 100, the Billboard 200 albums. And the Billboard 200 has to do with America. So these are the albums. So Encanto still at number 1, still running things. Encanto is not letting up on y'all. So if y'all trying to get number 1 albums, y'all got a lot to do to come for Encanto. Just letting y'all know, because, you know, these Disney fans are running things right now. So actually this week we have a new number 2. Youngboy, NBA, Never Broke Again. NBA Youngboy, he has just entered the charts with his new album Colors. So he is number 2 this week, coming in after Encanto. Now I don't know if he's gonna be able to take out Encanto. I don't know about that, but this is pretty good, you know, I think for his entering, going against Disney, you know, that's a global phenomenon, but you know, this is still good. He's number 2 on the Billboard 200 albums. Gonna move down, guys, so he's kind of going down a little bit. He's gone down to number 3 this week, but The Weeknd is still under him. So they came out at that same week, and he was over top of The Weeknd, and he still is, because The Weeknd moved down to number 4 this week. So Morgan Wallen, Dangerous the Double, that album is holding it down at number 5. It stayed there. Adele has moved down, you guys. She moved down 2 spots this week to number 6 with 30. But ain't nobody mad, because Adele been on these charts forever with this album. So, you know, she's still in the top 10. So Drake is, I don't know what Drake has been moving up week by week. I've slowly been seeing Certified Lover Boy, that album, moving back up on the charts. So he's number 7 this week. So that's good for Drake. He's doing his thing. He's getting these sales out. He's getting these spins on his album. But it's apparently y'all streaming it. Now The Weeknd, I know he not mad, because he still got 2 albums in the top 10, because he has the Highlights at number 8, even though it moved down from number 7. But he still does have 2 albums in the top 10 right now. We got a new entry at number 9, Walker Hayes, with Country Stuff, the album. So that's a new entry for the week. So it came in at number 9, which I think is pretty good. So, and following up at number 10, Doja Cat is still holding down her top 10 spot. She's still in that top 10, even though she had number 10. You know, she's holding it down with Planet Earth. So, you know, she's still doing her thing. Taylor Swift has been moving down, and so has Olivia Rodrigo. Just so you guys know, they moved down into, they're still in the top 20, but, you know, Summer Walker's still in the top 20. Kid Laroi still in the top 20. Juice WRLD still in the top 20. Lil Baby still in the top 20. But he's been on the charts for a long time, so it's interesting that he keeps going up. And Billie Eilish is still in the top 20, who has also been on the charts for several weeks now at this point. So that's what's going on with our Billboard 200 album chart right now. So let's look at the global. This is our global 200 charts, right? So right now, this is dealing with singles. Gayle is still holding it down at number one. She's been number one for a minute now with ABCDEFU. I've never heard that song, but she's been on the charts so much, I feel like I need to. And honestly, I probably have heard the song and didn't know that was the song, because I do listen to pop radio stations. So, that's one thing. But she's still holding down her spot at number one globally. We don't talk about Bruno. Not only in the US, but globally is number two, and it's been maintaining its position at number two. Dua Lipa and Elton John with Cold Heart, they are holding down number 3 spot globally. Heat Wave, Glass Animals has moved up to number 4. Justin Bieber and Kid Laroi are holding it down globally at with Stay. Adele moved down this week globally, guys. So Adele's moving down in the US and globally, but she's still in the top 10. She's number 6 with Easy on Me. Imagine Dragons is moving up the charts. They was number 8 last week. This week they're moving up with Enemy, Imagine Dragons. Ed Sheeran still in the global top 10. He was number 7 last week, but he moved down to number 8 this week with Shivers. Jessica Darrow is moving up, you guys, with Surface Pressure. And Gunna has moved up on the global list to number 10, so with Pushin P. So global, Gunna is becoming an international sensation, worldwide. He's moving right on up the charts, Lil Nas he moved down out of the top 10, so he's in the top 20 still globally. Kodak that was Industry Baby, so him and Jack Harlow. Kodak is still a global sensation. He's moving up. He's in the top 20 globally. The Weeknd with Sacrifice. Dua Lipa with Levitating is in the top 20. So we still got some interesting movement on the Billboard global list. And lastly, we have the US Artist 100. So this is dealing with the actual artists themselves and their popularity calculated by Billboard. So this week, even though Adele been moving down with her music, she's still the number 1 artist in the US. Still number 1. And The Weeknd moved down because he had placed over Gunna the other week. So even though Gunna was ranking over him with his album, but he's number 2. Meatloaf, they just released some music, so they just entered in the Artist 100. So they're number 3, so that's pretty good. Youngboy, NBA Youngboy, he's number 4. He's moving up the charts this week for the artist charts. Ed Sheeran moved down from number 3 to number 5. Taylor Swift is still maintaining at number 6. We got Doja Cat. She moved down 2 spots to number 7, but she's still in the top 10. Walker Hayes moved up. He's moving up. And he actually jumped up a lot. So I don't know. I don't remember if he released any music. I got to check him out. Drake is still in the top 10, but he moved down this week to number 9. And Morgan Wallen. So, we have some interesting artists in the top 10 for this week. Justin Bieber's in the top 20. Olivia Rodrigo is in the top 20. Gunna moved down a lot to number 14 because he was number 4 last week on the artist. So, but he's still rising on the other charts, so that's good. But his artist popularity hasn't gone down. We still got Dua Lipa in the top 20. We still got Lil Nas X in the top 20. We got Billie Eilish, and Kendrick Lamar is coming for y'all. He's moving up the artist charts. He's number 19. And he's getting back up there. And, down at number 20, we got Bruno Mars. So this is what's going on the charts for you guys this week. So, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about what's going on the charts right now? Are you all listening to this stuff? Do you think this is a proper representation and reflection of what you all hear around you, what you all stream? I want you guys to let me know what you think about what's going on in the charts in the comments. Moving right on along to our television and film releases for the week. So let's talk about, the first thing I want to talk about in film news is a review that I've read for the movie Moonfall. So Moonfall is a brain-twisting, popcorny mega blast. Some people might look up at the moon and admire its glowing and desolate beauty. Director Roman Emmerich apparently sees a constructed hollow orb that may have been built by aliens. Some of us will never gaze up at it the same after seeing this mind-blowing Moonfall. Emmerich's latest and absolutely bananas piece of big-budget filmmaking, a sci-fi action and disaster thriller that gets more crazy by the minute. It makes Independence Day look like a Little Women. Looks like Little Women. My freaking brain just exploded, says one character. Who can complain? Moonfall stars Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson as one-time astronauts who have to repair their strained friendship and save Earth when the moon gets unmoored from its orbit and stars coming frighteningly closer to us, wreaking havoc. The film adds these two gorgeous creatures, the Game of Thrones actor John Bradley as a pudgy conspiracy wackadoodle with irritable bowel syndrome, and a cat named Fuzz Aldrin, who somehow also is pressed into saving the world. So you guys, this is interesting. You know, Moonfall just came out on the 4th. So, you know, I've definitely heard of the theories of the moon being a lot of different things. People have said it was a hollow. People have said it's a projection. The flat earthers have said it's a projection in the sky. Some people say that it's just an object that floats through the sky that goes to, like, you know, it's all kinds of beliefs. I've heard that it was a big hollow vessel. I've heard that one. You know, in science, they say that the moon came out of, one of the theories that the moon came out of the earth, like billions and billions of years ago when the earth and all these things were still forming. I've also heard that it's a planet of aliens, of male aliens that walk around naked, and that they've had contact with them and were told not to come back up there. I remember when I was young, the X-Men, the 1992-1993 series that came out. Like, I remember one time in the Dark Phoenix saga, Lalandra transported the X-Men up to the moon. And this is one of my early memories of, like, just moon conspiracies. But in the X-Men cartoon, when the X-Men were transported up to the moon in the Dark Phoenix saga, at the end of it, there were, like, pyramids and, like, everything. It was like a whole society. And Storm was like, I can breathe and use my powers. And you know how she used to talk about X-Men. So, you know, this is going to be an interesting movie. I think I might have to go definitely check that out, you guys. So, are you guys going to check out Moonfall? Let me know in the comments. Let's take a look at what else is going on film-wise. What's opening for the week. So, this week we have Jackass Forever coming out. Moonfall, of course, The Wolf and the Lion, Breaking Bread, Only Fools Rush In, Last Survivors, Watergate Bridge, Ghost of the Ozarks, and Alone with You. So I don't know if you all have heard of any of these titles or what you're checking out, but you guys got to tell me what you're checking out this week as far as movies. What are you going to go see? What have you heard about? What reviews have you heard about? Let me know what you guys think about the movie releases in the comments. Moving right on along to our television releases, you guys. So we have some interesting television releases that are coming out. February 4th, we got Reacher on Prime Video. Also on the 4th, the opening ceremony of the 2022 Winter Olympics is coming on NBC, so you guys can check that out. February 6th, the new Power Book 4, Force, starts at 9 p.m. on Starz. February 8th, we got the Jeopardy National College Championship starting at 8 p.m. on ABC. Also Tuesday, February 8th, we have the American Masters, Marian Anderson, The Whole World in Her Hands, PBS. I'm very interested to see this. As you guys know, I'm an opera singer, and Marian Anderson was one of the noted in his. It's been black opera singers since opera started, way back in the day. But one of the first notarized in America opera singers that was black was Marian Anderson, and she was the first, I think, black opera artist to grace the Metropolitan Opera stage. as a regular role. She wasn't the first prima donna role, like a leading soprano role, but she was the first black woman to actually perform in any role. So I'm very interested to see this Marian Anderson highlight of her life. So that's coming on PBS for any of those who are interested. Also, that's a good thing since we are in Black History Month, a good thing to check out and learn more about Black history. So also on February 9th, Wednesday, February 9th, we got Catching Killers coming out on Netflix. And we also have Disenchantment new season coming out on Netflix on February 9th. And then on Thursday, February 10th, we got 3 shows coming out. We got About Last Night coming out on HBO Max. Adventure of the Ring coming out on HBO Max. And Until Life Do Us Part coming out on Netflix. So what are you guys catching and checking out episodically or on TV or on the streaming networks? Did I miss anything coming out this week coming up, you guys? Let me know what you're going to be checking out and what you're going to be watching in the comments. So moving right on along to our world news segment, you guys. There's been some interesting world news and United States news going on this week. So let's go ahead and jump right into our world news segment covering our world news and our U.S. news. So let's start with the U.S. news. First up, school lunch rules School lunch rules updated to help ease pandemic disruptions. Low-fat chocolate milk instead of only non-fat. Fewer whole grain offerings. Less severe salt limits. The Biden administration issued transitional standards for school lunches Friday that are meant to ease the path for cafeterias to get back on a more healthful course as they recover from pandemic and supply chain disruptions. Schools have struggled to meet the government's nutritional benchmarks through the pandemic, but have not been punished for falling short. The bridge rule announced by the U.S. Department of Agriculture extends emergency flexibilities for the next 2 school years as schools gradually transition back to normal. We applaud schools' heroic efforts throughout the challenge of this pandemic to continue serving kids the most nutritious meals possible, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack said. So guys, they changing up school lunch now. I remember when I was young, school lunch wasn't that, everybody has seen the memes and stuff with like that little rectangular pizza square and stuff like that. But I know when I was growing up, like, especially by the time you got to high school, they were having like restaurants and stuff in school cafeterias like Chick-fil-A and, all kinds of things. So it's like, what? So like, I'm surprised this is even a thing because I just would have assumed that once I left grade school, that things would have kept evolving along that lines. But, I just think it's interesting. It's been a lot of people talking about free lunch and stuff and how basically everybody should have it, which I think they should, because if school itself is free, why does anybody have to pay for lunch? But, at the same time, it would be interesting to have free lunch for the regular food, but I guess the restaurants and all this stuff you can pay for it. But that's just interesting. I personally don't think any of these cafeterias across the nation care about any of this, because they have always and want to continue to do whatever they feel like doing. And, they're even saying in the article that, they have been failing to meet the standards of the agriculture department. So I don't understand how they think this is going to change anyway, but at least they feel like, well, at least they not down our backs about it anyway now. So interesting. So you guys tell me what you think about school lunches being updated now for grade school. Up next, we have the U.S. economy defies Omicron and adds 460,000 jobs in January. In a surprising burst of hiring, America's employers added a robust 467,000 jobs last month, a sign of the economy's resilience in the face of a wave of Omicron infections. The government's report Friday also drastically revised up its estimate of job gains for November and December by a combined 709,000. It also said that the unemployment rate ticked from 3.9% to a still low 4%, mainly because more people began looking for work and not all of them found jobs right away. The strong hiring growth for January, which defied expectations for only a slight gain, demonstrated the eagerness of many employers to hire even as the pandemic raged. Businesses appear to have regarded the Omicron wave as having, at most, a temporary impact on the economy and remain confident about the longer-term prospects. So you guys, I don't know about this one. I guess it depends on also what type of work people want to do. But I've noticed Walmart and Family Dollar and stuff like that, they're hiring regular retail. But I'm guessing that's why all these 497,000 jobs went to, because they're not going to. I know Delta, they have new jobs, but these companies, the bigger companies, or the companies that are paying living wages, are not really hiring that I've seen. Now, I haven't seen everything, but I'm not really seeing this, you guys. I don't know about this one. Now, maybe at Walmart or the grocery store, yeah, sure. But how much are they actually going to pay you? If you're a single individual, period, let alone if you're a single mother, there's going to actually be a livable wage. I doubt much. So, I think the job thing, this is, honestly, to me, it just seems like something they're just putting out there just to have a report on it, to try to get people more encouraged to try to look for work. But I think the biggest reason why a lot of people aren't trying to work is because it's just not a living wage that they're offering right now. And it's too many people still offering minimum wage, no benefits, no nothing like that. So, I don't know. You guys, let me know if y'all are seeing it and what you all think about this as far as, the economy allegedly adding 460,000 new jobs. Are you guys seeing this in your communities? Let me know in the comments. And our last piece of U.S. news, appeals court says inmates don't have the right to pornography. A federal appeals court has ruled that Connecticut prison inmates do not have a right to possess or view pornography in prison. The ruling Thursday from a 3-judge panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a 2012 policy from the State Department of Corrections banning porn from prison, with the stated goal of eliminating a hostile work environment for guards. Judge Joseph Bianco, writing for the court, said the state ban is reasonably related to legitimate penological objectives, namely promoting a non-hostile work environment for DOC staff, enhancing the safety and security of DOC facilities, and facilitating the rehabilitation of sex offender inmates, and passes constitutional muster. The state argued that inmates will use the pornography to pleasure themselves, often in front of female correctional officers. The ban on pornography was introduced in 2011 and phased in over a year. It made exceptions for scientific and artistic material. So first off, why? I don't know. I just think this whole thing is crazy. One, I think it's ridiculous that these are the things that taxpayers' dollars are going to for people to talk about in court. Pornography in prisons. And then two, it just seems really sex offenders, in my mind, definitely should have a level of therapy, but they're already in prison, and prison is in no way rehabilitative. It probably causes more damage to every person that's in it, other than sex offenders, too. So it's nothing rehabilitative about prison at all. It's essentially a hell on earth. For anybody that's been in a jail or a prison, I'm sure you can relate. So that even been a reason to rehabilitate sex offenders, to ban pornography. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I don't know. I just think this is a waste of time and a waste of the taxpayers' money to even bring up to even spend money on a court case all the way in federal court. The federal U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, wasting taxpayers' money to discuss a ban on pornography. They can't control what's going on in these prisons. They never have been. Like, all kinds of prisoners be putting rap videos and stuff on the internet. All kinds of stuff. Y'all don't know what's going on with these inmates, and y'all not going to be able to control it. Like, it's all kinds of, like, inmates on dating apps and everything. So it's like, what? Inmates on Facebook, Instagram, everything, you know, posting stuff. It's just like, but y'all worried about banning pornography. Y'all can't even ban the cell phones. Like, you know, I'm not understanding. I mean, I can understand now. Let me say this. I can understand the effort that they're making to do that. But first off, it's just illogical to me because prison or jail is not a rehabilitation place. It's just simply a punishment place. That's all it is. It's not rehabilitative at all. So the whole thing is a moot point to me because you're just going to deal with crazy stuff going on in this facility, number one. Number two, y'all are literally wasting taxpayer money for a case about this. I don't know. Y'all think it's crazy. What do you guys think about it? I'm not saying they should or shouldn't have porn. I don't know. Like, I'm not a prisoner. I don't work in a facility like that. I don't know if it really poses safety risk, but it don't seem like it did because it phased out like in a few months the last time they tried to bring this up. And now they're wasting money on it 10 years later again. Wasting taxpayers' dollars on talking about this again. So, I don't know. You guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. And let's go ahead and move on to our world news section. So, Emboldened China opens Olympics with lockdown and boycotts. China, which used its first Olympics to amplify its international aspirations, invited the world back Friday, sort of, for the pandemic-era's second games. This time as an emboldened and more powerful nation whose government authoritarian turn provoked some country leaders into staying home. Chinese President Xi Jinping declared the games open during the ceremony heavy on ice blue tones and winter imagery held in the same lattice encased bird's nest stadium that hosted the inaugural event in the 2008 Summer Olympics. Athletes Zhao Jiwen and Didier Yilami Zhuang, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these names right, but just work with me, guys. A member of the country's Uyghur Muslim minority delivered the final Olympic flame. The choice of Yilami Zhuang was steeped in symbolism, critics say. The Beijing government has abused and oppressed Uyghurs on a massive scale. So, if you all don't understand that, basically, like, people that were involved in this Olympics opening, they was using it as a chance to protest. So the things that they were doing were subliminals, basically, to the government. And, you know, a lot of world leaders didn't even want to come to the Olympics in China, the Winter Olympics, because of just China's position and the way that they operate their country. So it was just a lot. That's what they said. There's boycotts, lockdowns, protests, all kinds of things going on around the Olympics. I see why. I reported on this a couple of weeks ago or a week ago about how, like, none of the sports broadcasters were sending anybody to China. And I see why they didn't want to go now, because they got too much going on over there. I don't know why America has a team this year going over there, because it just seems like it's too much going on. And it's funny because I know people that have personally traveled to China, and it's just, every time I hear about China, it's just way too much going on. I even have a former classmate from high school that was murdered in China by a Chinese person, and it's basically an unsolved mystery murder. And they just basically shipped her body back to America. So, you know, I don't know about y'all, but I don't ever plan on going to China. I'm good on China. Like, you know, if I go, I'd be surprised. You know, I ain't gonna say never, but if I go, I'd be surprised. It's just a lot going on. I don't even know why they wanted to have the Olympics over there this year. You know, I don't even understand that, but it is what it is, and I just pray that everybody stays safe and that they're able to make it back home with all the drama that's going on in China right now. All right, and our last piece of world news, Elizabeth, the Steadfast Queen, marks 70 years on the throne. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor wasn't born to wear the crown, but destiny intervened. The woman who became Queen Elizabeth II will mark 70 years on the throne Sunday, an unprecedented reign that has made her a symbol of stability as the United Kingdom navigated an age of uncertainty. From her early days as a glamorous young royal in glittering tiaras to her more recent incarnation as the nation's grandmother, the Queen has witnessed the end of the British Empire, the advent of multiculturalism, the rise of international terrorism, and the challenges posed by Brexit and the COVID-19 pandemic in a world of relentless change. She has been a constant, representing the UK's interests abroad, applauding the nation's success and commiserating in its failures, and always remaining above the fray of politics. So, you guys, Queen Elizabeth is still here. She is still here. She's still on her throne. Now, we know that nowadays, like, I guess, I don't know the whole structure of the UK's government. I know they have a parliament that makes laws, and it seems like the Queen and the kingdom and everything that goes on with that is just pomp and circumstance and pageantry. But they do have some level of rule, but ultimately I believe the popes really have a lot to say. So it's just, I don't know, it's just really weird the way they run their government. But the weirdest thing to me is that every nation that has a flag is tied into the UK. Like, any nation with laws and courts is tied into the UK. And I have to have a whole nother, video about that by itself. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. But, I'm not going to wish death upon or anything negative upon the Queen. She's still here, even though they say that, they inbreed. And there's a lot of rumors that they inbreed and take blood from, melanated people and cells and things. So I don't know, but she's still here. I can't say that she has or has not done these things. I don't know. It's a lot of controversy surrounding the UK, the United Kingdom, and the actual throne and all those things. So, but she's here and she's making it. So, and she has been very fashionable and all those things. So I applaud her for being on the throne and being a symbol literally for the world, in a lot of ways, that's still alive to this day. And long live the Queen. But that ends our world news segment for today. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our spiritual perspective segment. And we're going to start off in the spiritual perspective segments with our From the Headline section in our spiritual perspectives. So moving along, right on along to From the Headlines, I want to start out with the India Arie situation, you guys. So let me continue where I left off. I was talking about her leaving because of the Joe Rogan racist remarks and him constantly and excessively using the N-word as a Caucasian man in 2022. And continuing to do it and not showing any signs of letting up with it. So the statement that India Arie made was, she doesn't stand in agreement with what he says. However, she does believe that he has the right to say what he wants to say. She said that. She says that he has the right to say what he wants to say. But she also believes that she has the right to say what she wants to say. Everybody can say what they want to say in India Arie's opinion, according to her. So all she's saying was that if this is what you all want to support, because Spotify makes its money on the backs of artists, as she said, and they're streaming, and you all are taking that money and paying Joe Rogan. So she says, since you like to put offensive material to her, she's not going to say he doesn't have the right to say these things. He can say what he wants to say. However, just take her music off because she doesn't want to be a part of it. And if you're not going to, The only way that she would change her opinion is to pay her and other artists like her and other podcasters of color to be able to have the same opportunity that Joe Rogan has to say whatever it is that they want to say. Now, a lot of people had a issue with this comment. They was like, well, she just wants to be paid, and she's saying take off since she's not getting paid and he's getting paid, even though he's saying the N-word. No, that's not what she's saying. And I feel like people that are taking that position are very ignorant. I don't think, she said there's other ways that she feels about him using that word, but those are nuances not for that conversation. And I took that as, she probably would mess him up if they was like one-on-one. But she said, all that aside, he can say what he want to say. Just take me off. And if not, pay me the same amount that you're paying him, or pay other artists, pay us all equally, since the money that's coming from our streaming is going into paying him. And I believe he has like $100 million contract with Spotify. And he's saying the N-word all the time, like just when he wants to, because of free speech and all some type of stuff. So also one thing that they admitted in a conversation with Arie when they were when Spotify Artist Relations was trying to hash over the situation, they admitted that the majority of the streams come from melanated artists, from artists of color. So basically, these subscription fees that we pay Spotify that equal up to millions of dollars, that we're streaming mostly artists of color, they're then in turn taking that money from all the money that we're paying them, spinning it and flipping it and tumble it. You get what I'm saying? Flipping it and tumbling it right over into Joe Rogan's, bank account for him to say the N-word, while simultaneously, at the same time, only paying the artist 0.003 cents of a penny. So way less than a penny for a stream, and not paying any other artist of color, or giving any other artist or podcaster of color the same opportunities they're giving Joe Rogan. I don't know if I help break it down anymore for people, but, I don't know. I think a lot of the misconstruement is that people think Arie is boycotting Spotify because of the COVID comments, and she said that that's not what she was doing. But she doesn't knock the people that are doing it for that reason. Like, if that's how you feel, then you should do that. If that's the reason why you're leaving Spotify, because a lot of people are mad because Joe Rogan has these non-traditional doctors that are coming on and, saying different things that are against COVID-19. So he is all around an untraditional person. But, I stand in agreement with Arie that I don't understand why he's so adamant about using the N-word. Like, I really don't get that. I don't know why he wants that to be one of his points or a part of his legacy, that he did that and has it on a podcast that's on a major streaming network, and that I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand why he wants that to be his legacy, why he wants that to be what people remember him for. But he's entitled to live his life the way that he wants to. Like, I stand in agreement with India. Like, if he wants to say that, if he wants to do that. Now, I have my music on Spotify too, my Gene Clout music. And I'm sure it's not popping like Arie or many of the other artists of color, because I don't really promote my music in that way. But, it is something that I would be willing to do, especially as I grow in popularity, is to take my music off Spotify, because I agree with her. And, she did a thought experiment, like, what would it be like if all the artists of color chose to leave? They wouldn't be able to pay Joe Rogan $100 million. Because they have nothing to stream. So, this is just interesting, you guys. I look at this as an interesting... I put it on the spiritual perspectives from the headlines, because I think we should take a deeper look at this as a people, because I don't have even though my music is on Spotify, I don't have a Spotify account. And I generally, let me not even say that, but let me say this, I barely have an Apple Music account. That's the only streaming platform I have. I would invest in Tidal, because my music is actually on all the streaming platforms, but I guess I'm old school. I would have rather continued to buy CDs than to buy streaming services or even buying digital albums. I personally would have. So for me, since music has gone digital and they decided to take album sales out of ways for artists to make money, I'll just watch everything on YouTube at the end of the day. Even though there's a lot of music that they don't put on YouTube, but I'll just wait till it comes on YouTube because that's free. So since they wanted to, since the Napster and the LimeWire and all those programs that kind of took the money out the artists' pockets because of album sales going down the drain from music becoming digital, let's just keep it that way. Keep it free, just like it was in the Napster days. Like, you know, I'm going to get right on YouTube, go to one of these little websites that convert that to MP3 and put it in my Apple Music and call it a day. That's what I'm going to do. So, and I'm going to support the artists that I do actually like. I have bought their music. I've actually purchased their digital content on Apple Music. So they've gotten a sale from me. I have their files, even though I don't really like having to do that. I think that's unnecessary for me. But people that I don't listen to as much or I don't support all their works, I will definitely go to YouTube and get their stuff. So that's just how I work. You know, if people did it to me, I understand. Most artists, they make their money now from live appearances and their other brands and streaming and other things nowadays anyway. So selling actual units is not what it used to be. So, you know, the whole thing with artists just has to change. And I stand in agreement with what Arie is saying, whether people understand it or not. But hey, if you don't get it, you just don't get it. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. Moving right on to King Von's Posthumous album coming out in March. What is it, you guys, with the music industry choosing to just make money on the backs of artists of color? Like, it's something in me that just believes that, and I'm sure his family is involved, or I don't know if he had an estate, or if it works like Michael Jackson or Prince or the other really big artists that have estates. But I just feel some kind of way about these companies releasing these young, dead men of color, their music. Because I just feel like if they were alive, they wouldn't particularly have it going down like this. I don't know, you guys, how I feel about all this Posthumous album releasing. And you know, they have an Aaliyah album coming out posthumously. They have some other things coming out Pop Smoke. They just had another album coming out, and you know, people are speculating that they was like, well, he didn't even have any more songs. Like, his close friends, they have heard all his music, say he didn't even have any more. So what are they doing now? Are they just taking the voices and auto-tuning it, like taking a digital imprint of the voice and or taking some sound-alikes and just remaking the stuff? I don't get it, you guys. This is giving me weird vibes. It's giving me Milli Vanilli. I just watched that another thing about how they used to do that in the 90s, like that song, Everybody Dance Now. The lady from the Weather Girls sang that song, but they did a Milli Vanilli thing on her and had some young, thin model act like, like basically lip sync like she was actually singing that song, and that's not who actually sang that song. And this seems like this posthumous album releasing just seems like a new age version of doing that, you guys. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm saying this now, y'all. Like, if my family has a direct connection in releasing music, if I get really big and famous like Michael and Prince, and if it's not my family involved with releasing my music, I don't want it to be released. So y'all make sure y'all spread that word when it comes to my music. So I don't want no posthumous releasing, because when I'm gone, I'm gone. Y'all can listen to what I left when I was alive. Y'all don't need to hear nothing else. Because if I didn't put it out, it's probably a reason why I didn't put it out. So, but that's what happened. At the same time, on the flip side, that's what happens when young artists go and sign over the rights to all their music in these 360 deals, and just go into these studios, leave all their voice, their vocal imprint, literally bare their souls, and leave it for these people to own their masters and do whatever they want to do with them. We gotta do something different, y'all, in the industry. We just got to. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. All right, moving right on along to our meme analysis section of Spiritual Perspectives. So this is an interesting, I guess you can say, edition of meme analysis. I would say this is the healing edition of it. So let's go ahead and go over the memes, which are more so all quotes that I've been seeing circulating around social media for a while. So let's go over this in the meme analysis section and just talk about it. And you'll notice a theme for healing and understanding in this particular edition of meme analysis. So first up, we have our first quote. It says, "Pretending to be a savage won't heal that hole in your heart, baby." You know, I've noticed that, especially in the dating world and just seeing on social media, when people, especially younger people, when they go through very traumatic situations, they adapt that thought process of F-love and I'm never doing this again, and they just become savage. A lot of the young men just feel like, oh, I'm just gonna screw everything walking and just be done with it after I do it. They, develop these blockages in their heart chakra and they can't exude love anymore, and they generally end up being, and the men, especially the older they are, they're a lot like that too. So a lot of men never grow out of that. And, it's just so many people with heart chakra blockages that don't know how to love, but can have sex plenty of times, but have so many traumatic issues in their life because they're pretending to be a savage. But I think people really do need to understand that pretending to be a savage, like you just macking and you getting all this and all that, and you just an animal and you screwing everything and all this stuff, and you ain't got no love, F-love. I can't show that for anybody because 1 or 2 or 3 or even 5 people hurt me before, and I'm not going through that again. I think that that's just a sad way to exist and live. It's not a way that I would choose to, and I'm not gonna say, for somebody else that it might not be bad for them, but that's just not a way that I agree life should be. I think many people are pretending to be savages, but honestly, they're just not healed from the things that they've gone through. And being that savage, being that dog, being that player, being the person that screws everything walking, or even a woman that feels like she's gonna play these men, she just gonna, like, this whole city girls like thought mentality, like we just gonna use these dudes for their money, take their money and whatever. Like, that's just revealing your level of hurt and revealing your level of just not being healed. And I pray that all the people that are experiencing this savagery, I pray that you all experience healing in your life, and that you really come to a new place where you can get to a level of understanding with whatever happens to you. And I know it's hard because I've been through things. I've been through a lot of things, but I've never given my energy away in that way, or been a person like that. And I've never been close to the love that the universe has for me that can manifest through anything. So I would never be a savage or nothing like that for my life in that way, as I see a lot of what's going on right now. So guys, we gotta heal in the community. So let's move on to our next meme. This is another quote, and it says, "When you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace." And, this is one thing that I can say. When I said, even in the last meme, I said my heart hasn't been blocked, I would say that I've learned grace because I've witnessed people change their behavior towards me. And a lot of it may have had things to do with how they perceived or misperceived me, or maybe even some things that I did. So I can't take away whatever my interaction was, but I know myself, and I know that any interaction that I had with people was out of the pureness of my heart and the pureness of love. in whatever way that I did whatever. So yeah, we all have misunderstand, and we all have different levels of trauma. We all have different spiritual paths. We all are born into life with different, we have epigenetic memory. We have the memory of our ancestors. So we all have different problems that manifest out of us. So yes, I may have triggered people. People may have triggered me. But at the end of the day, I've never done anything out of malice towards somebody that I have ever claimed to love. So I really understand this. When you finally, because it takes a long time to learn this sometimes. It takes a long time to realize this. When you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle, what's going on in their spirit, in their mind, in their heart, in their epigenetic memory, and the way that they process in their consciousness, when you realize that their behavior, even if it's towards you, has more to do with their internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace. Because one thing I've learned, people will I've been in situations and seen in other situations where people will blame me, or they'll blame other people, or they'll blame everything else in life. And I get it, because they've been through things, they were born with things that they have in them that they have to process through this lifetime. And there's no guidebook on how to live this life. We're all trying to take it one day at a time. So the last part says you learn grace. I've truly learned grace, and I'm not saying I've completely learned it. I'm still learning it. But that's something that I want to choose to exude as I grow. It's to understand and not go back and forth with people and not feel like, oh, such and such did this to me, so I'm gonna go F them up, and I'm gonna go do this, and they don't know who they messing with, and all this stuff. Like, I've learned a lot of grace. I've learned how to back away from situations and to move forward with my life, because ultimately I do have a life path and things that I want to achieve, and I am open to any love that the universe can bring to me. And I want to be graceful to those people that are still learning to process with themselves, because no matter what happens in life, what's going on in the external world, whether we're babies, whether we're adults, whether we're in between children, whatever, on some degree of conscious level, whatever's going on externally is a representation of what's going on internally. Even the most traumatic of experience, and I know this is hard for some people to understand, but with all the trauma that has happened to me as a child, as an adult, I've learned this. And it was things that I was born with, and those things manifested externally. And I'm seeing things turn in such a beautiful way from me working on my internalness, so that I don't have that type of behavior, or I'm not lashing out on people or reacting to what people's traumas and issues are because of how I feel internally, or having to prove points to people, or having to feel that I have to teach anybody a lesson. I'm learning grace, because people's behavior has to do with their internal struggle. Even their behavior towards me, even if I did something to them, or they perceived that I did something, because I know my intentions of what I've done with anybody. And I know that I've never had intentions of malice, but I can see how they could perceive it as such, because I've perceived it as such. So, I get it. So on with our healing edition of meme analysis. So our next quote comes up, says, 9 times out of 10, the story of misbehavior won't make you angry. It'll break your heart. And I actually found this in a teacher group. So they were talking about students, but I'm applying this generally. And this kind of links on to the other thing. 9 times out of 10, the story behind misbehavior won't make you angry. It will break your heart. So we get so angry at, even with the last meme, people, like in the last meme it said, people's behavior has more to do with their internal struggle. This one says the story behind misbehavior won't make you angry. When you really understand what's going on the inside of people, it doesn't really make you angry. It should make you more understanding of why they react the way they do. And it does for me. And this further goes to say it will break your heart. People have been in their family, like their mothers, their grandmothers, and the things that basically were passed to them through genetics. The things that they've gone through have been great. And I understand, I'm kind of beyond the phrase of being heartbroken, but my spirit does weep for them. I can't weep for them in the actual reality of things because I have a responsibility to my spirit and my life path. But I do understand. I have a deep level of understanding, and my spirit just weeps for the woes of this world, the condition of humanity, because the Bible says we're born into sin, and like I truly understand that. Like the backstories of people's, whether it's a child, whether it's adult, the story behind the misbehavior won't make you angry. If you truly are an understanding person, it won't make you angry, but it will break your heart. So just something that I just keep in mind and dealing with people. And a second follow-up part to the other meme that I just did. And that brings me to our last meme, which on our healing edition, I think is something very necessary to talk about. This quote says, "Never wish them pain. That's not who you are. If they cause you pain, they must have pain inside. Wish them healing. That's what they need." So I truly understand this because this is what I adapt. Many people have misconstrued things about me personally. Many people have said things that they knew nothing about to me. Accusations, all kinds of things. And I may have done that to a lot of people too. I can't pretend that I'm innocent in that way. But now, where I am now in my life, I would never wish anybody pain or even try to guilt anybody for what they're going through. I just simply enforce my boundaries and walk away, from whatever the situation is. I just relinquish it. Like, we've came to a junction where I must depart from you at this point. We don't have to argue or have a fight about it, but we just must part ways. This is the end for us. So, I'm not going to wish anybody pain, even if they cause me pain. Because a lot of people have tried to cause me pain and didn't realize that they weren't even affecting me. But what I do realize is that they have pain inside of them. They do. And it's not, I don't think, like, when you're on your life path, I don't think that you should get caught up in thinking about people or like hoping things for people or praying for people. Like a lot of people have the perspective of, I pray for my enemies and all that stuff. My prayer energy is used for something far more effective, like getting through my actual life. So at that moment, I wish them healing and I move forward with my life. Those things may come up in my mind again, and as they do, I wish them healing again. Because that's what they need. And I truly believe that a lot of people that wish me pain, whether it's in this life or the next, they will understand the error of their ways. Just as in this life, I'm learning the error of my ways and actively seeking and actively correcting these things so that I can move forward in a higher aspect and in a higher, elevated position and evolving position to relinquish the symptoms of this third dimension of this earth life and to, go beyond the weary, sorrowful circle of life in my spirit and to really evolve to that next level in the higher dimension, which I truly know that I come from. If you guys understand what that means. So that was today's healing edition of Meme Analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, you got to let me know what you think about all these quotes in the comments. I've been seeing these circle around social media a lot. So I can tell a lot of people are hurt or coming to these realizations at the same time. So, keep these things in mind and just move forward with your life and heal yourself and only seek for love and healing. So that way you don't even have to actively wish people anything about healing because you just already are wishing them healing. Like without you, just because you are healing and you're working on your own healing, you're loving yourself, which is in turn loving everybody else. And that's the world that I intend to manifest for myself, and I hope you guys manifest for yourself. So next up, we're going to go ahead and get into our astrology reading for the week. Yes, we are still in Aquarius season. The sun is still shining bright in Aquarius. So we're definitely still in Aquarius season. We're dealing with a lot of Aquarian energy. But this week, we got a lot of air meeting earth. So we got a lot of grounded in certain ways Aquarian energy coming through, because there's a lot of Capricorn energy. And we still have that Taurus energy too coming through in the planets that are circulating around us in our solar system. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what's going on. So, and bear in mind too, whoever's pregnant and giving birth on any of these days, the next few days, or before the date of this reading, you're dealing with this energy. Or if you're giving birth to somebody on Friday or Saturday of this week, or maybe Sunday, these are the energies that you're dealing with. So these are the energies around your new child. So let's talk about what's going on. Right now, we still got the sun in Aquarius. So we're still dealing with the Aquarian energy kind of vibrating over us. That's still dominating. I've been talking about it for a while, so keep that in mind about the Aquarian energy and how to manage it. Right now, we're exuding altruism, we're feeling friendly, we're feeling the humanitarian energy, but also just keep in mind, you don't want to be too eccentric, too erratic or impersonal or rebellious, even though those are characteristics too on the shadow side of Aquarius. So these are all the types of things that we're dealing with the sun vibrating in the light of Aquarius right now. So right now, the moon is in Aries. So when it comes to our subconscious side, the way we've been expressing things and our emotions and our attitudes, it's been very much so in the Aquarius energy. So we've been emotionally active, we've been ambitious in our undercurrent, in our emotions, and just in our subconscious. But some people might have the tendency to be a little competitive right now, but still courageous and creative and enthusiastic about a lot of things. But right now, when it comes to the things that we're thinking in our mind, just be mindful of the Aries shadow. So try not to be too headstrong, too impatient, too prideful, or too quick-tempered in your thoughts. Because with the moon being in Aries, this is something that's going on in our minds, people. So keep that in our spirits and in our hearts, whether we're actually doing it or not. So be mindful of that, but still take the positive aspects of what the Aries is bringing right now through the moon, with the moon vibrating in Aries. And I'm sure the moon will be moving very soon. The moon usually stays put maybe 2 or 3 days a lot of times before it moves into another constellation. So that's what's going on at this moment right now. So we have a trifecta of Capricorn energy. I was talking about that earth energy that we got right now. So the children being born in these next few days, they're going to be Aquarian air sign children, but they're also going to be dealing with a lot of earth Capricorn energy. And this is what's going on because our Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all in the light of Capricorn right now. So how is that affecting us? Right now, when it comes to our communication, when it comes to our love life, and when it comes to our courage and ability to take action and our aggressive tendencies, it's all kind of manifesting in the Capricorn energy. So keep that in mind. It's keeping us very practical in the way we communicate in our romantic relations, and even in aspects of dealing with our aggressive tendencies and our ability to take action. But it can also manifest in kind of a cold way. So be mindful of that right now, that these energies, as well as Pluto, and I'll get to that, which, Pluto's going to be in Capricorn for a long time. So we're dealing with a lot of Earth Capricorn energy. It does bring a lot of ambition, conservativeness in the way that we're speaking, in the way that we're loving, and in our aggression tendencies. We're being a little more conservative, but still disciplined and methodical in the way that we're talking to people, the way that we're loving, and in the way that we're exuding our aggression. So, in our courageousness. But I think a big thing that might be happening for a lot of people right now is just this rigidity. You being very rigid in certain things and a little bit too serious in some aspects. So I know I'm going to talk about it in the card reading, but you don't have to and we'll get more into this in the card reading when I get to the cards for inner ascension reading, but try not to be too much of a thrifty person, because you might be kind of being a little too stingy right now with all this Capricorn energy, especially with the way that and maybe not even particularly with money, but in the way that you're communicating or in the way that you're dealing with people in your romantic relationships. So try not to be too thrifty and stingy right now. Try not to be too frustrated or so alone and pessimistic, because those are shadow sides of the Capricorn energy, and we're dealing with the Capricorn energy in the way that we're communicating, the way we're relating to people right now in communication, interpersonal, and even in a lot of ways intrapersonal. So we're being in the Capricorn energy in the way that we're loving people, and with our courageous and our ability to take action and our aggressive tendencies. So be mindful of that when it comes to Mercury, Venus, and Mars being in Capricorn. Jupiter right now is shining in the light of Pisces. Jupiter was shining in the light of Pisces at the time of my birth, so my Jupiter is actually in Pisces, so I'm very familiar with this energy. And basically, with Jupiter being in Pisces, we know that our fortune, our good luck, and our personal expansion and the process of your realm and horizons, these things, the things that bring you good luck and fortune, are right now vibrating in the Piscean energy. So we have to be mindful of that. Now is the time to be of service. Now is the time to be creative and charitable and artistic and to be a dreamer. Now is the time for that, to be spiritual and to be peaceful in our endeavors right now. We're also, the sun is about to move into Pisces season 2. So, we'll be experiencing a lot of this energy. But right now, for our fortune, for our good luck, for the things that are going to expand us, we have to kind of deal with that energy. Now, at the same time, do not be fooled, because Pisces can be a little bit too humble to a fault. Sometimes they can be too humble to the point that they're actually careless or indecisive or escapist. So, in your service to mankind and your service to people, try not to be careless and try to make sure it's meaningful to the people that you're helping out right now. Don't be so humble that you're being fooled into doing things right now. So keep that in mind with the Jupiter and Pisces energy. Saturn is still, now we're getting into our slower moving planets. So a lot of these planets have not moved. I've talked about the movement of these planets in the last few weeks, and they really haven't moved like that. Saturn is still in Aquarius. So right now, when it comes to the way we operate within the limitations of society, and also our life lessons and the things that obstruct us and our, the things that are teaching us our life path. We're in the Aquarius energy with Saturn being in Aquarius. So we're coming to a lot of realizations about things that make us tick. Saturn deals a lot with these cycles of life that we have to deal with. So keep that in mind, that you're coming into a lot of things, but in your coming into these things and thinking of these things and being very understanding of what's going on, try not to be like, oh, I don't care, or too impersonal, or let it create rebellious tendencies. To try to balance that. And maybe you might need to do that with Saturn and Aquarius in some instances. So try to keep that in a balance, because Saturn is still exuding the Aquarian energy. Uranus is still in Taurus. So when it comes to our individuality, we're experiencing a lot of Taurian energy when it comes to things about our uniqueness, our inner individuality, and our intuitive and creativity, and the way we express inspiration and rebellion. Right now, that's all dealing with Uranus. We're dealing with it in the light of Taurus. So that energy is coming through a lot right now when it comes to our individuality. So, that can lead, on the shadow side, to us being a little bit stubborn, be it that we're having a lot of Taurus things. So some people are being very unmovable and very self-indulgent and very lazy and maybe even jealous sometimes. So you might want to balance that out with Uranus being in Taurus when it comes to the things that you're thinking about and your inner personality and your uniqueness. Keep that in mind, but still don't be mad that you're being introverted right now. That's something that's coming through in the universe, coming through in our solar system with Uranus being in Taurus. But at the same time, Taurus definitely brings a loving energy It brings a desire for beautiful material things, and also patience and persistence. So, keep that in mind. And just being mindful of the things that you're possessing and the things you're acquiring. So that's a good thing right now. These are things that you're thinking about with Uranus being in Taurus. Now, Neptune is in Pisces, so when that comes, Neptune does a lot with the way we spiritually envision things, and the way our imagination works and our psychic abilities. So, Jupiter is in Pisces, and so is Neptune. So when it comes to our spiritual sense, we're feeling very kind of religious right now. We're feeling very, very much a need to connect spiritually, because Neptune is in Pisces. Keep that in mind, but also don't go off the helm into I know I do readings, and I know people get readings. Be very mindful of the people that are doing readings for you. Make sure it's something that aligns with your spirit, and you're not really getting into that side of the Piscean energy that just has you like, oh, okay, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'll do whatever you're saying and give you whatever money that you're asking me for, even though it's $1 million. So, just be mindful of that. But you are feeling the need to connect spiritually and to just grow your artism and all these things that deal with the Piscean energy, because Neptune is in Pisces. So that's something that's going on. And of course, our Pluto is in Capricorn right now. Pluto being the planet that moves the slowest in the generational sign. So when it comes to our undercurrent and our unconsciousness, we're still kind of going through this phase of rigidity in some ways, but practicality in a lot of ways. And we're trying to get on course. This generation is coming to bring humanity on course, and we're feeling that energy. We're bringing children here that have this energy, that manifests with this Pluto and Capricorn energy. So keep that in mind. These new children are going to be intense, in the way that they do things. This new generation, the babies that are just now coming out, whatever generation this is, I don't know if it's generation AA or double B or double C, since they name every generation after a letter. I don't know, are they the the 2020 millennials? I don't know. But so that's what's going on right now when it comes to the planetary motion. A lot of the energy is kind of concentrated between Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, and Capricorn energy. So it's one-sided on the zodiac wheel. One-sided, the energy is really manifesting from one side of the planets, that the constellation that we generally go around and that encircle us. We're kind of on one side of the chart. So as you can see in the circle that I post up. So just keep that in mind. Those are the majority of the energies that we'll be experiencing. So as you all know, just briefly focusing on the cycles, the moon cycle. We had our new moon on the 2nd. February 2nd. So the moon is now waxing. We're in the waxing crescent moon stage right now. So it's a time of building up into new projects, building up energy, building up our rituals to the full moon, which will be, excuse me, guys. The new moon was on the 1st of February. Excuse me, I said the 2nd. The 1st of February. So we're building up. We're almost the half crescent moon. The half moon will be on the 8th of February, 7th, 8th-ish, So we're building up. We're waxing into the full moon, which will be between the 16th and the 17th. So build your ritual, build your energy up until the 16th, and just know that I also think it was the Lunar New Year recently. So when the new moon started or something like that. I'm not really as familiar with when the lunar year starts, but I do keep up with the cycles of the moon, and I definitely want to share that information. So now is a good time to work with the moon energy to build into things. Also, with the moon being in Aries right now is a good time to start working on projects. So whatever you got going on, harness that energy of the moon so that you can build up until the 16th, 17th of February and really let your projects just, explode into just expansion and all those things. So go forth and do likewise with this information, and let's go ahead and move on to our next section. So getting to the first section in our spiritual energy reading, we'll go ahead and do the monthly Mirror de Lagoon reading to Eshu for the month of February. So if you don't know about this type of reading, please go back to the very first episode and go to the energy reading section, and I break down about what kind of reading this is if you want to go do some research into the type of reading this is, or if you would like to know more about the type of readings that I do and how I assess the information, feel free to contact me down below. And also, let me go ahead and say this now too. I said it before, but just to remind you, if you do want to schedule your yearly reading, which I do this type of reading, feel free to contact me at any of the links in the description. You can contact me on my website. All of these things are in the descriptions. On any of my social medias, all of it is in the description. So let's go ahead and get into the monthly Mirror D logo and read into Eshu. So the Odu that came out for this month of February was Ofun Oyeku. Eshu speaks on Ofun Oyeku. The reading comes in EB, so it comes in a good light. And this is primarily for everybody that is dealing with spiritual energies and just energies of the universe in February. Wherever you are at the sound of my voice, that's the monthly Odu, divine from Eshu, Ofun Oyeku in Arie. So what does Ifa say? What does Ifa say about Ofun Oyeku? Two of the main things that come up when it comes to Ifa about this Odu is keeping or reviving ancestral traditions, or the ancestors will kind of cause trouble in later parts of your life. So, that's something you really want to keep up, is with your family and your ancestral traditions, whatever they may be, that might be specific to you and your family, because they bring success and they bring a certain energy that your ancestors have always wanted to bring into your life. And if you don't continue these legacies and these processes that have always been done in your family, it can cause energetic problems later in your life. Another thing that Ifa particularly speaks on in this Odu is sacrifices for your children, or making a sacrifice for children. And when I say children, if you don't have any physical children, that also includes new life in general, whatever type of new life. If you're growing plants, if you have like new animals or animals around you, or even new projects, anything that you're breathing life into, it's talking about sacrificing for those things. So keep that in mind as we continue to talk about this facet of the energy reading. So the doors for life-changing experiences are opening at this time from the fruits of your labor. So just know that things are opening up. So you want to stay on it, stay doing everything that you're doing, because there are a lot of doors that the universe and the spirit guides are opening up for you to walk through based upon what you've already done in your life. So keep that up and keep that in mind as you move forward. As I said earlier, ancestral traditions need to be revitalized and maintained as a sacrifice towards the children's future and to avoid negative energy. So you want to pass these things down to your children. Whatever you're sacrificing for, whatever you have been taught by your mother and your grandmother and things like that, you want to continue that legacy and pass it down to your children. Otherwise, your lineage will forget, and it will cause issues and generational problems down the line of your descendants. So keep that in mind right now, because that's very important. And it's just a coincidence that we're in Black History Month and this is also being said. So that's another little, well, there's no coincidences, but I'm saying that just to say it's funny that it's coming up right now. So, and also remember, if you don't have any children, do these ancestral things for yourself so that your new projects and your new life, the new life around you, will benefit from the things that you're doing. So remember that. If plans are not solidified in this month, there's a potential for loss and waste. So if you're being careless this month and you're not paying attention to everything like you have been, that's brought you to these points where you can expand and grow your energy into the things that you're doing. If you don't keep up with it and stay on it and continue just solidifying all your plans, you could experience a loss or a waste of your time. So stay on it, whatever your projects, whatever your goals are, whatever you're doing with your children, whatever you're doing with the life around you, stay on it. So sacrifices to Orisha and ancestors are needed this month. Not particularly sacrifices to Ifa, but to Orisha and ancestors need to be made this month to ensure success in your endeavors. So for all my people in the Ifa tradition, or all my people that do spiritual work in whatever traditions you are, you need to consult with your spirit guides and see what sacrifices are necessary to open the doors. So you really want to stay on that and to do your spiritual work this month. Keep your spiritual life balanced with your mental life and your physical life. You want to stay up on it, because now is the time for these spirit guides, whatever tradition you're in. If you are in Ifa, Orisha, if you're in any other tradition where you work with deities or spirit guides or avatars or ascended masters or whatever it is that you work with, you want to stay on that at this time. So consult with your spirit guides, whatever or whoever they may be, and see what it is that they want to continue to give you the energy you need to manifest all the things that you're doing. Also, plan to leave offerings for the mothers. The Iami, the Iaj, however you look at it when it's dealing with the Ifa tradition, plan to make offerings to that. And for people that are in other spiritual traditions, the mothers or the Iami, the Iaj, or whatever you want to say, like that energy represents the feminine motherly energy, the feminine energies of order and chaos. So these energies can bring chaos into your life, because they're the mothers of order and chaos. So the Iami, the Iaj, the mothers, they have their hands in everything. So now is the time to offer things to the mothers so that they can keep chaos from you and that the energy can be balanced, because all of us have to ultimately have a level of balance in our life, and the force of the mothers generally deals with that. No matter what spirit guide you have or what spirit guides you work with, like whatever that energy translates to for your tradition, for your spiritual practices, you need to make offerings to that energy that deals with order and chaos and that can ward off the chaos. So plan on doing that sometime in the month of February, giving an offering to the mothers. And lastly, I would say about our month, Ofun, Oyaku, and Arie, once again, is that if you're not particularly in a spiritual practice or in Ifa or Orisha or anything like that, where you don't really know what to do, but you do want to, you feel the energy and you want to do something to make sure you're in alignment with the energy coming to you, what you want to do is go to the base of a tree. And before you go to the base of the tree, go to like Walmart or go to a grocery store, buy some chicken livers, and what you're going to do is prepare that in some kind of way. If you want to know how to prepare it, send me a message on any of my social medias and I'll talk to you more about this. But what you want to do is prepare the chicken livers, and you're going to leave it at the base of a tree and just ask the mothers of order and chaos to keep chaos far from you and to assist you in your elevating as you continue to move forward. And seal it with an amen or ashe or so mote it be or whatever you want to say. But take some chicken livers to the base of a tree, preferably a big tree, and preferably somewhere in the middle of the woods if you can, or somewhere that's kind of foresty. And or even if you're on the west coast or in the desert, like to a cactus or to some type of desert tree, whatever tree you can find that's not in a general area where everybody is, and take those livers and leave it at the base of a tree, and ask the mothers to assist you in your elevation and to keep chaos and evil energies far away from you. So that is our Mary D. Logoon reading to Eshu for the month. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our next section. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our weekly card reading with our cards for Inner Ascension, created by my soul sister, Sunny Patterson. The link is in the bio if you are interested in purchasing this card of affirmatory statements to help you get messages from the spirit guides and the energy around you as far as what you need to hear. So for this week, the message that came from the spirit guides was, it is safe to have nice things. It is safe to have nice things. So this message is really coming across to people that have really been working hard and really have been very mindful, or maybe even in some ways overthinking different investments that they might need to make, because they know they might need to up certain aspects, whether it's for business or for personal. And these things can that we can update and upgrade with could be for business purposes. It can merely be for mental health. So now is a time for you to, not telling you to spend what you don't have for those people that know this particular message isn't for them, but for this week, it's a lot of people out here that have been thinking about investing in something that can bring them a higher energy. So the Spirit Guides wants you to know right now that it is safe to have nice things. It is safe to do those things. It's safe to upgrade. It's safe to invest in a piece of something to give yourself more spiritual health or more mental health, or just put you at ease for certain things. Now, if it's something that's negative or something that's just, gonna waste your time, like, I don't know, but you know, that's within reason, and that's for this week. So you've worked hard, and remember, and to be honest, even if you want to splurge on something that could be something that's not, the most useful thing, but is not hurting anybody else or damaging your psyche in any kind of way, it's something you can invest in, not drugs or anything. I wouldn't suggest that. But, something that doesn't hurt yourself or anybody else, and you kind of wanted to spend your ends on it. You've been working hard, and now is the time that the Spirit Guides are saying it's safe to have nice things. It is safe for you to do these things. Now, next week, there might be a different energy. So keep that in mind, that this is just for the week. You've worked hard. You deserve to let your hair down a little bit for this week. So just know the Spirit Guides are coming through right now and telling you that it is safe to have nice things. So go ahead and invest in that. The new car, if you got the money for it, or that heat pad for your legs, or, that spa trip, or, maybe a little mini vacation, or whatever it is that you want to go ahead and invest in. The Spirit Guides are saying that it's safe for that right now. So keep that in mind and make sure you're balancing the things and doing things that will ultimately bring you success and bring your energy up as you continue to move forward in your life. So go forward with this information and do likewise. Woo, you guys, this was a long one. But yes, we made it. We finally made it here to the end. So, we're here, and that was this edition of Oba Omi Says. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to me this week. Don't forget, if you would like to schedule your year reading to know the energy of every quarter, you can contact me. Go to one of the links in my description, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, my email, my website. Reach out to me and let me know that you want to schedule that, and we will definitely get that done. And don't forget about all the other things that we discussed, because this was a definitely interesting weekend. Thank you for spending your time and energy here with us here at Oba Omi Says. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell so you can keep up with everything that's going on with us here at Oba Omi Says. And definitely just go forward in positivity and love, and just continue to be the best you that you can be in this life. And we will definitely check you guys out next week on our next edition of Oba Omi Says. Oba Omi, over and out.